Just give me a reason to keep my heart beating. Don't worry, it's safe right here in my arms. As the world falls apart around us, all we can do is hold on, hold on.
What is up, guys? DT Ninja here to bring you my latest discussion on Rurouni Kenshin, the Hokkaido arc. Yes, guys, I call this Journey to Hokkaido, right? Journey to Hokkaido. So this is a discussion about the latest chapter and the upcoming chapter. So this is going to be a discussion that not only talks about this chapter, but the upcoming and future chapters. So I've split these discussion questions into there's several, but some of them we're going to talk about more than others. So I have quite a few here. I've written them all down. You can see, so there's quite a bit. But I wanted to be more specific because this will get you guys thinking of the possibilities for this arc, because there's a lot of things that could happen in this arc. Okay, let's start out with the obvious one. Who are Ashitarou and Asahi, and where do they come from? Okay, and the last question, how are they connected? Okay, so to even understand these characters, you have to read the prologue, which is Ashitarou the ex-con, and that was last year. They published those last year in the SQ, the same magazine. But if you guys want to check those out, I will leave my translations to those chapters. There's two of them in the description. Okay, so basically, I'm going to explain how they met. And before that, one of my followers on Facebook, for my page, for this YouTube page, he edited this translation of the cover for Ashitarou X Con, and I think it's really cool, so I wanted to share it with you guys. So basically, I translated, this cover, because it was in Japanese, and he edited it because he has, really nice editing skills, and then he sent them to me. So I thought that was really cool, and he's going to do it for the next chapter as well. But anyways, I wanted to share that scan with you guys. So take a look. Alright, so that is really freaking awesome. I'm not gonna lie. So, like, you can see Ashitarou is the main one with the sword in his hand. Asahi is the girl with the cute girl with the kimono. And then the other one is Aran, who is Ashitarou's partner. Like, they both were in jail, and they meet each other afterwards. So, okay, so like I said, who are they? Their first encounter happens outside the government prison. So Asahi basically is waiting on Ashitarou, and she says, and I quote, "Congrats on your release. I've waited for this day for a while now." And so this was quite funny because Ashitarou just like turns to Aran and he's like, "You?" And so he doesn't even know who she's talking to. Like, so that was really funny, but at the same time, she's like, I guess it made it seem like they've met before, and maybe they have. But that was a very interesting encounter. So that's the very first one. And of course, Aran does his, when he always meets a woman, he just, comes out and tries to hit on her. So it was pretty funny. Encounter number 2 happens in Rurouni, which is the village of the fallen. If you don't know this, this is where Kenshin goes when the sword, actually when he believes Kaoru has been killed, right? So they made a doll that looks exactly like her, and it looks human. And so he believes that Kaoru is dead, so he locks and seals his sword away forever. and he goes to Rakunin Mura, which is the village of the fallen, where all Ronin or criminals go to. So that is very interesting because it goes back to the original story. So anyways, Ashitarou supposedly had been living in Rakunin Mura, and this was confirmed by Asahi. So actually, he was been living in the mountains, but this is besides that point. So basically, in Rakunin Mura, Ashitarou says, "Who are you anyway?" So again, she's waiting for him. She knows where he's going because she has been following him. She's been looking up who this person is. So she's very curious about him. And he says, well, and she says, I'm a remnant of the same syndicate of Shishio you were a part of. So actually, she was a part of Shishio's faction and military. Okay, she's not actually part of the actual Juppon Gatana. As we all know, there's 10 swords. That's what Juppon Gatana means. But she was part of the army. Okay, the army, the faction that was behind his plan to overthrow the government. So she was involved with Shishio's group. And the same goes for Ashitarou, because he's a dine and dasher. He basically steals food to get by. Well, he ended up stealing the food from the mansion that Shishio was staying in, and he met Shishio. So he's eating all his food, and Shishio was intrigued by this because, I mean, who would dare steal food from Shishio? And he just says, "I don't give a damn. I have to survive." So when Shishio saw this, he was like, "This guy's very interesting." So he told him, "If you can show me, the power within you, Ashitarou, I'll make you part of my group. I'll make you part of the Juppon Gatana. You'll be the 11th sword." And he says, "If you don't, though, you'll be a wretched brat for the rest of your life." So this actually is something that he remembers later on that triggers, something in him that makes him want to fight. His will to fight has something to do with Shishio. Shishio must have gotten to him because the will of him just goes back to Shishio, because that was something that he remembered that Shishio told him. So, and you all know Shishio has the survival of the fittest type of idealism, right? So that is kind of his ideal, right? The things he believes in, how the world should operate. Survival of the fittest. If you're strong, you live. If you're weak, you die. It's the same way Ashitarou lives, right? So he just, steals things and has to survive day to day. And that's another reason why he ended up in Rakunin Mura. So, but anyways, that's how they are connected. That's how Asahi and Ashitarou are connected. So maybe she found out that he met Shishio. Maybe she did. Maybe she saw him at some point and he never met her, but she met him, or she saw him and she knows him. So it's quite interesting how they have their encounters. So like I said, there's 3 encounters. So that's the first 2. In this chapter, and I have the chapter with me so we can look exactly at how they meet. This chapter, they both meet at Akabeko. Okay? Now, we all know the Akabeko is the beef pot restaurant, right? Now, the Akabeko, actually, that's one more before that. Yeah. Okay, so she is actually dressed up differently, and he recognizes her based off the fact that she gave him a rice ball, because he is always hungry. He's starving. He has to live off, stealing food. So he remembers her because she offered him free food. She offered him food, but in a way, it was a setup, right? So there was a swordsman waiting, trying to kill him, but it's all part of her syndicate. So she's being used in the syndicate, and she really wants to get out. That was the whole idea. She was always being used as persuasion to lure Ashitarou out in the open. So that's kind of how they met, and that's how they've seen each other so far. But here is in the Akabeko, so he's working in the Akabeko just to make some money. As y'all know, Sano would always buy food, and actually not buy food, he would just eat food without paying. It's kind of like Sano, really, except this time he's working for food. So they both meet in the Akabeko, and she says, "I'm glad we both made it out. Made it out of the syndicate. Technically, they're both part of that syndicate, right? So they both made it out, supposedly, right? And so she says, "Let's eat our fill," and he's like, "Yeah, I'm definitely gonna do that." So we get this another encounter between them, and it just happens to be at the Akabeko later on. So now she says, I think I did already say this. Ashitarou says, "Hey, you're the rice ball girl," and she says, "That's what you remember?" And she's funny because she says, "I am Asahi, Asahi." So she's like making sure he knows who her name is this time. It's kind of funny. I think I already showed you the scan. Let me show you again anyway. Yeah, she gets really pissed off here. And this is where she says, Asahi. So she's like pointing out, that's my name. Don't forget it. So pretty funny. But anyways, they have another encounter, and this kind of, I don't know if I want to call it fated encounter, because really a lot of things are connected, and we'll get to that in a little bit. But these two, obviously Asahi is a war orphan. Okay, we find out she's a war orphan, and she has to pay for her freedom. Okay, so all this time she's been getting money ready to pay to get out whatever. Apparently the person that raised her is a part of this group, another syndicate. I don't know if it's a syndicate or just part of a group, but it's a dangerous group because they always send people to missions and fighting and killing. And in this chapter, Asahi basically states, "I don't want to be in darkness anymore. I don't want to fight and, killing. That's not what I want. I want to shine in this new era." So, and this thug who is with her guardian basically says, if you can't even read, you don't deserve to choose the way you live your life. And that basically angers Ashitarou, and he basically has the sword right behind him and attacks him. So he saves her, right? He saves her, and they flee. So she ends up being freed in this episode. But yeah, that's how they meet. But later on, I'm gonna talk about how she's connected to the plot. Because there's a plot twist at the end, and it's actually connected all back to Asahi. So, and Ashitarou, really. So that's my first discussion question. I know that's a lot, but I wanted to, give you guys an idea of the background of these characters. We don't know where they're from. That's another thing. Is Asahi from Hokkaido? You could possibly say that because, as we all know, when she is back to the dojo and she becomes part of the dojo, they have a file, a letter, from her, and it was supposedly Asahi's, but they find out, no, it's not Asahi's, it was her guardian. And why would her guardian have a picture of Kaoru's father? Think about that. Why would Kaoru's father give something to them, right? Why would they do that if they're not connected to Hokkaido? You see what I'm saying? So maybe Asahi's, birthplace is Hokkaido. Maybe. We don't know. So very interesting stuff. Let's move on to the second one. And this is exactly, and pretty much talks about what I'm talking about now. Why does Asahi's guardian have a picture of Koshijiro? The reason Kenshin and Kaoru were able to get the photo in the first place was because those two escaped during Ashitaro's madness, and obviously the madness was after she tried to be free. She tried to pay off her freedom, and that guy said, no, you can't. You don't deserve it. And that's when Ashitarou went mad, because he can relate to her, right? Maybe he can't read either, but he wants to choose the way he lives too. So anyways, very interesting stuff. So they must be wanted or something. Maybe they're wanted. Okay, maybe they're wanted. Are those two wanted? By the government. So is that why they left? Because the police came. Okay, so maybe that's why they fled. Anyways, like I said, maybe they're connected to Koshijiro somehow. Maybe they're from Hokkaido originally, or maybe they have connections there. Because obviously they came across that photograph somehow, right? They came across the photograph somehow, and we all know that photograph was taken in Hokkaido, and specifically Hakodate. So, but yeah, anyway, very interesting stuff. Like this is the photo I'm talking about. But yeah, and this is where they say that it wasn't Asahi's, and it was the people that were with her, which were the people who were in charge of her, right? Who raised her. So that does beg that question. Okay, I'm not going to go too deep into that, but maybe that's something to think about. Asahi might have someone left over, that maybe a brother or sister, maybe living in Hokkaido. Let's see, next one. Who is the leader of this so-called rebel group that Saito is preparing to hunt down? Now, as I stated, they're all connected. So Koshijiro's in Hakodate, and so is Saito. So they're in the same area. They're in the same... and it's pretty big too. So it would make sense that they'd be in the same place, but it does beg that question. Is the danger, is that the reason why, he can't return? Or is there another reason? So, yeah, anyway, Saito's here, and he says, we're going to move out. There's one man. There's one man. So he must be talking about the leader of this rebel group. And who is this leader? Who is this leader? He must be dangerous, right? He must be dangerous if he has a connection to Saito, right? Anything connected to Saito would be interesting. So... is it possible that it's someone back from the chaos of the revolution? Is it possible? If they're stirring up this much trouble and causing, Tokyo, police to come there, or I guess maybe it's not all Tokyo police because it's just Saito, but if Saito's already there, it has to mean he's got to be, pretty dangerous. So maybe there's some connection back to the revolution. Maybe it's someone that Saito knows. Maybe he fought him in the revolution. What about his comrades, that were in the Shinsengumi? What happened to them? There's many possibilities that you could come up with for who it is. So very interesting stuff to think about. Yeah. Okay. Next one. Why did Koshijiro why didn't he ever return home? It must have to do something with the threat, like I said, so this is connecting to the last question. But is he wanted himself? Is he wanted by the government? I'm not saying he did anything wrong, okay? But maybe he was in a situation where he had to, flee the country. Maybe he had to flee Honshu, which is, the area where Tokyo is, the island of Tokyo. So maybe that's why he fled, or there might be another reason, okay? Like you said, Kenshin said he might be prevented from coming home, but maybe there's another reason, okay? Maybe he's wanted. Remember, Kenshin was wanted as well by the government at one point. Obviously, that was taken care of in a misunderstanding, but it is something to think about. Okay, is it this threat? Because the threat hasn't been going on for too long. Maybe it has been, but we don't know how long it's been going on. So there's possibility that it is this threat, that's preventing him. But it also could be personal threat, okay? Him himself. Maybe he's wanted by the government. I'm not sure what for, but it is a possibility. Moving on to question number 6, discussion question number 6. Do you guys think Kenshin will be active in this arc? Or will he play more of a supporting role? Now, what I mean by active is actually using his sword to fight off enemies, okay? Now, we all know he doesn't have the reverse blade sword, but in this chapter, he required it because Ashitarou was going crazy, right? He had the Mugenjin, and he released it, and the Homu Radama was released. So Kenshin was forced to use the Sakabato. So obviously he has an active role here, okay, because he needed to stop, one of his students. And you can see him here actively using the Soryusen. But really, do you guys see him fighting another death match? Do you guys see him fighting another death match like Shishio or Enishi? I don't think so. I don't think he can do it. Like one of my friends mentioned, that Megumi stated that if he were to be in another death match and put his life in danger like he did, because he almost died against Shishio, that he would shorten his life, and yeah, he would not be able to do as much as you would think, right? Because it's just, he's been fighting pretty much all of his life. So there's a time where you got to rely on other people, and this is the time that I think that it might happen. Now, this leads me into the next question, okay? This leads me into the next question. Will Kenshin ask Aoshi Shinomori for information in Hokkaido? Because we all know the Oniwaban group has a lot of connections in Japan, right? And this is Aoshi Shinomori, by the way, the badass Aoshi Shinomori. Now, we all know that he's useful when it comes to information, so this might be something to think about. Maybe he'll ask him for information. Maybe he'll even ask him to join him on the journey. Maybe he and Misao will join Kenshin and Kaoru and Kenji on their journey just for support, okay? Just for help, just assistance, because we all know Kenshin is not at his peak, he's no longer, a young man anymore. He's older now, right? So I think that maybe someone will join him on this journey. That's what I think. And like I said, I think it might be Aoshi and Misao. Now, why do I think this? Because in the final volume of the special edition, volume 22, there is a special, okay? There's a special ending, and it talks about where Sano is, and it also talks about where Saito is. And Aoshi shows up, and he's the one that tells Kenshin that he's in Hokkaido. So I want to share that with you guys because I translated it, and it might, shed some light on why I think this might happen. So anyways, take a look at it. Alright guys, pretty neat stuff, and you can see Misao is also there, so very interesting stuff. Oh, and by the way, that happened in the springtime, so that happened before Ashitarou's ex-con story, so that happened slightly before that. So Nobuhiro Watsuki is pretty crafty when it comes to, creating his stories. Not too long of a time skip here. We're not time skipping really far, so pretty nice. Okay, next one. This leads into the next character. Will Sojiro Seita What has become of Sojiro Seita? We're talking about the Tenkin, guys. The Tenkin. The number one person in the Jupongatana. Okay? We're talking about Shishio's right-hand man, Sojiro Seita. The only man to actually come close to actually destroying Kenshin's sword. He broke it in half, right? And really, the only thing that was holding Sojiro Seita from winning was his own mind, right? He lost his mind. He got really angry, and that's why Kenshin was able to read all his movements. But that guy was really powerful, really strong, really fast. So it would be interesting to see, where is he wandering. We know he went wandering off, in Japan, and we know it was in Japan because he said, I'm wandering in Japan. Maybe he's in Hokkaido. Maybe he's off somewhere, and we'll see him in this arc. That would be interesting. What if he comes to what if he comes to Kenshin's aid? See, this is what I'm talking about when I'm saying, is Kenshin going to be active? Maybe the other characters that he helped, he helped change their lives. Maybe they're going to come and support him in a way. So he'll be not fighting alone, but his strength is their strength. So that would be really interesting. That's what I think. So yeah, will Sojiro Seita show up? I think that would be awesome to see where he is. And if he doesn't show up, at least show he's wandering somewhere in Japan. I would really like to see what he's up to. Okay, the next one. Will Sano return to Japan? And if he does, who will he visit first? Will it be Megumi, Kenshin, or his father and sister? Because we all know he had some, difficulties with his own family. He did meet up with them, but I don't think his sister even knows Sano, even is alive. I think she was too young to know, and when he returned, she didn't even recognize him, and it was a thing between father and son. So I don't know if Sano's going to return back home first, or if he's going to go to Kenshin, in the dojo. Maybe he'll return and it will find, the kids at the dojo. I don't know. So that's interesting. Or will he go to Megumi? Okay? Because I think they're an item. I really do. The anime suggested that they are. And even, this panel that I'm going to share with you here, of the same panel that I showed you with Aoshi, it's the next page, but Megumi makes it sound like she wants him to return home because he's actually traveling the world. Alright guys, so that's pretty cool. We get an idea of where Sano is, but who is he going to return to first? So, yeah. Alright, next question. What will the role of the newcomers be? Ashitarou, Asahi, and Aran. Well, we all know Aran is, the bookworm. I think he's going to be the one to teach Ashitarou and Asahi how to read. So they're going to get some education there. But what about, swordsmanship? Maybe because we all know Asahi learned how to fight from, their group, that syndicate, or whoever raised her. So maybe she's going to teach Aran to, stand up for himself, use, fighting, strength. So that would be interesting. Obviously, Yahiko's there too, so that's going to be an interesting dynamic. But how are these characters going to interact, and what will their role be? Are they going to join Kenshin and their journey? I just don't think so. I think what we're going to see is training in Tokyo, and the focus is going to be in Hokkaido. I think that's where Watsuki's mind is. But we'll see. We'll see. Maybe Ashitarou will run off, Ashitarou is a loose cannon. We've seen him go crazy. So maybe he's going to go off, and maybe Asahi and the others will follow him, right? Because now they're comrades. So very interesting stuff. And the final question, guys, will we ever see Tokio? Now you're probably like, who in the hell is Tokio? Tokio is Saito's wife, the one that he mentions in when they were in the Kyoto arc, and maybe we're gonna finally see Tokyo and what she looks like, because there's some funny jokes about that. But are we ever gonna see that? And also Eiji, Eiji Mishima, the guy that Kenshin saved, the brother that saved Eiji. This was in Sengetsu Village, and Kenshin was the one who stopped Eiji from killing Senkaku, and he's like, you should never use this sword to bloody your hands. You should always use it to protect people. That would be interesting to see what Eiji is up to and where he is, because he was Yahiko's age. Yeah, I think he was around. I think he was around Yahiko or Misao's age, so he would be a young adult now too. But anyways, that's a lot to take in, guys, but I wanted to do a discussion to, get us thinking about, the possibilities for this arc. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed a lot of things that I talked about. Also, the new chapter is coming very soon, so stay tuned for updates on my Facebook page, because the new chapter will be coming in October, I believe October 4th. So yeah, it's coming really soon, and I hope you guys enjoyed, and see you guys in the next one.